Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Would You Eat It Wednesday. Today's episode, we will be talking about Beyond Meat. Would you eat it? Beyond Meat, I've got the picture here. You probably maybe can't see it that well, but it's a picture of a burger. This is their box, Beyond Meat Beast Burger, 23 grams of plant protein. It says no GMOs, it's soy-free, it's gluten-free. It's got a picture of a flying cow with the superhero cape on it. Would you eat it? My people are pretty bright at this point. When I posted this earlier, I got a question back almost immediately that said, I didn't see the ingredients on there. How do I know whether I should eat it? So wise. How would you know? You don't know by looking at the front of this. You don't know by the grams of protein or all these labels on here. You got to look at the ingredients. So without further ado, let's look at those ingredients. Here they are. First ingredient, water. So far, so good. Pea protein isolate. I have a problem. Okay. Pea protein isolate. Okay. Think about that word, isolate. We isolated the protein out of the peas, so we no longer have a whole food here. We no longer have the whole pea. It's isolated protein from that pea. Now, that might be difficult for your body to absorb. That might have been isolated from the pea using high heat, which would have damaged any nutritional content in there. That might have rendered it indigestible for you, and as a byproduct, a lot of times, with these isolates that you find out there, MSG is a byproduct of that. You won't find MSG on the label because MSG is just a byproduct of creating the pea protein isolate. A little bit tricky, but there may be MSG in there that they don't even have to disclose. So, pea protein isolate, another problem with getting protein from peas is peas tend to be a high lectin source, okay? So lectins are these, substances within food. They're termed anti-nutrients because they actually can take nutrients away from you, absorb minerals away from your body. They will leach onto cells, and they can cause problems. They can cause inflammation. They can cause you to go into autoimmune diseases. So these are things that we need to watch out for. A little side of peas on your plate, probably not a big deal. Pea protein isolate as your main source of protein, plant-based protein, this can become an issue, okay? So, maybe one burger won't be hurting, but if you've got, for instance, a pea protein powder that you use every day, this could be something that becomes problematic for you over time, okay? So pea protein isolate, not too crazy about that. The next one is expeller pressed canola oil. This is an automatic deal breaker, okay? Anytime you see canola oil, run for the hills, okay? Throw that product away. You don't want it. You don't need it. Keep it away from your body at all costs, okay? This is one of my deal breaker ingredients that I just stop looking at a label when I see canola oil, okay? We'll talk more about oils at another date, but for now, no, that is a bad one. Probably one of the worst things you can put in your body. Omega-6 content, free radicals out the wazoo, inflammation, etc. No. So we got coconut oil in here. We got cellulose from bamboo. Maybe not the best thing. Bamboo is a grass. We're not necessarily supposed to be eating grasses, but I'll give that one, a maybe. Natural flavors. I talked about that with the Dorito effect in another video. We don't want natural flavors. That's tricking your palate. Salt, not the good kind of salt, just regular salt. And we've got vegetable extracts in there. So again, maybe not the whole foods that we would be getting if we were getting the actual vegetables. And they add some synthetic vitamins in here, including B12. Now that's interesting that they would put B12 in there because people who are buying a Beyond Meat burger, a vegan, vegetarian burger, they are not getting any B12 in their diet. So it's imperative that they get that somewhere, so they added the B12 in there for you. So that was actually a smart move on their part, but we need to think about why are we doing the vegan thing in the first place, okay? So let's break this down from protein perspective, okay? Why does a vegan burger exist? It's because people are afraid of meat at this point, okay? So there's two versions of protein. You got protein from meat, you got protein from veggies, okay? They are not necessarily the same. One is going to be easier for your body to absorb and use. One is going to be harder. Spoiler alert, the veggie is harder version of protein to assimilate and use for those purposes, okay? So we need protein in our diet. Can you get it from plants? Yes. Can you get enough? It's harder. It's just going to be harder to get that amount, okay? To give you an example, 3 cups of lentils is going to be equal to 1 serving of meat, 1 4 to 6 ounce serving of meat, okay? So you can have a piece of meat the size of a deck of cards, or you can have 3 cups of lentils. It's a lot of lentils, I'm just saying, okay? So to get the amount of protein that you need on a daily basis can be a little challenging, okay? Bioavailability is another thing, whether that protein can be broken down and used. So the absorbability, it's not just what goes into your body, it's what your body can use. So plant-based protein is going to be a little bit tougher for your body because most of the plant-based proteins are incomplete proteins, okay? Meaning they don't have the full spectrum of essential amino acids. There's 9 essential amino acids that we need. They are available. My watch is beeping. Don't worry about that. We're going to keep going. So you've got complete proteins, incomplete proteins. So the essential amino acids in a complete protein are available in every single meat. Not the case in plants. There are a few that have all 9 essential amino acids, and those are quinoa, buckwheat, and soy. Soy we've talked about before. You've got some problems there. Buckwheat you can probably do okay with. Quinoa may not be the superfood that most people think it is. Again, that could be another video all its own. But just know that getting all those 9 essential amino acids in plant protein is going to be a difficult chore. That's a lot of darn quinoa you're going to have to eat. That's a lot of buckwheat you would have to eat, and a lot of soy you would have to eat. And again, I'm not a big advocate on the soy front unless it's fermented. So, the vegan diet. Why would we do it in the first place? There is a fear of meat out there right now. There's a fear of meat products because there's a lot of bad media out there. There's documentaries like What the Health putting out there that eggs are worse for you than cigarettes. Just absurd claims. I'm going to tear What the Health up in another video at some point. But just know for now that, eggs are good for you. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But why would you be a vegan in the first place? There's usually 2 main reasons. One is ethics, one is health, okay? If you're doing it because of ethics, if you think cow lives matter, more power to you, okay? I am not going to try to sway you from that. I think that's great. That's fine. You love the animals. That's all good. I've got no problem with that. You're going to have to do a little more work to get everything that you need in your diet, though. Just saying, okay? If you're doing it for health reasons, I think it's a mistake, okay? So if it's primarily for the ethics thing, fine. If it's for health purposes, I would say there's a better way to get your health on, okay? So meat has all these essential things in it, okay? It's, can we get around it with other plant foods? Yes, for the most part, but no when it comes to the nutrient B12, okay? We need B12. That is essential. You will not find it anywhere else in the plant kingdom. Some people say spirulina has it, but that is actually kind of a fake B12 that is actually taking away B12 from your body. So no, there's no substitute. You're going to have to supplement somehow to get your B12, which is essential for your body. Now, here's the problem with that. This is where this kind of breaks down, this argument that we were meant to be vegans, that we were meant to be vegetarian. This is how humans were meant to be all along, okay? Vegan is a term that was just coined in 1944, okay? This is a brand new concept. This is not a historical thing that's been going on for a long time, okay? In fact, if you check any indigenous culture, there is not any vegan indigenous society, okay? Some of them will go through periods where there is no meat available, where they can't catch up to the bison, where maybe the fishing hole went dry or something like that. But it's not by choice, not by any means. When there is protein available, humans will eat it naturally as their tendency, okay? So to say that this is naturally the way we were supposed to be all along, I gotta take exception to that, okay? So there's stuff that's missing in your diet without meat, and this was not how we were meant to be in the first place. That's my 2 cents. Again, ethically, if you want to go that route, there's ways to do it. There's ways you can supplement. But again, you're going to have to supplement instead of eating all whole foods. So that should be your indication that, we're just missing something there, okay? So, there are some myths surrounding red meat as well. Meat in general, but red meat really got a bad rap. And fat got a bad rap, okay? So any kind of animal meat, animal protein, animal fat, it's all been demonized, and it all can be traced back to this dude called Ancel Keys, okay? Ancel Keys, he came up with this theory back in the day, and he put together this little chart right here. He said, this is deaths increasing. This is fat consumption increasing. You can see there's a correlation that goes straight up by these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 plot points right here. That's his 7-country study. Now, the only problem with that is, in the original study, there was 22 plot points. 22. Okay, that's called cherry picking your data, okay? That's what we might call today fake news. So all these 22 points, you can see if I wanted to make fat look terrible, I would just connect these dots right here. If I wanted to make fat look good, I would just connect the bottom dots down here. So you don't get to really pick and choose like that and be scientific. So you can't take 22 countries and whittle it down to the 7 that prove your point. It's just not right. But what I also found interesting is that in recent years, we've put more plot points on the graph. These are indigenous cultures that we've studied, and check it out. Death rate from increased fat consumption, it is nil, okay? It just doesn't happen, okay? You can sit out here as the outlier because the sources of meat that they're getting, the sources of fat that they're getting is from natural sources. Do you think in all these industrial countries that maybe the reason that increased meat and fat consumption could be that the animal itself was sick before it got to your dinner table? Something to think about, guys, okay? So the way the meat gets to our table is very important, okay? So how it's cooked is also important. A lot of us are looking forward to grilling season coming up for you. I got bad news for you, okay? Putting the grill marks on any veggie or meat, either one, grilling marks, those little black lines, those are HCAs, those are bad news, carcinogenic, not good for you, okay? So if you're gonna do meat, cooking it, the way you cook it is important, okay? You don't wanna overcook meat, that can be a problem. You don't want to undercook it probably, but you definitely don't want to overcook it, and you definitely don't want those char marks on there because those are signs of carcinogens, okay? So, cooking matters, source matters, and recent studies have shown that there is no link between saturated fat and heart disease. Higher intake of animal fat and protein is actually shown to be protective against cardiovascular disease. So, the new science is showing meat is not so bad after all. In fact, this is something that you need in your diet, and you just have to be conscious of where you're getting it from, okay? Not any meat will do. The source is so important when it comes to meat. You really got to do your due diligence, okay? Iron is another thing that we get abundantly in meat, okay? Women, you got your menstrual cycle, you're losing blood each month, okay? You're going to have to replenish some iron. Where do you get that in good source? You get it in meat, okay? All the minerals and protein that are found in meat, most of them, except for B12, can be found in plants, for sure. But again, you have to think of bioavailability, whether your body can use that. You have to think of the amount of the protein that you would have to get, and you have to think that you're going to have to supplement at some point with B12 and probably some other things, because all this stuff that you get naturally from meat is just hard to come by, okay? So the case for the vegan diet kind of falls apart a little bit unless it's for ethical issues, which I respect, okay? So, white meat versus red meat, is white meat always better? I don't think that is the case either. It has been shown recently that a lot of chicken meat actually higher in omega-6 content than some of your other red meats, okay? So red meats, fish, chicken, you can diversify the portfolio a little bit there and do all right. It's tough out there, guys. There's a lot of stuff going on. You got paleo, you got ketogenic diet, you got Mediterranean, you got the carnivore diet is becoming a thing now where people eat nothing but meat, and that has actually been shown to help certain people with their autoimmune diseases, okay? So veganism, vegetarianism, lacto-ovo-vegan, you know, there's all these different terms, all these different ways to go, and you have to ask yourself, oh my God, how am I supposed to know what to eat? I would suggest the book that I just read, actually, Mark Hyman's book, Food, What the Heck Should I Eat? Very apt title, okay, for this time that we're living in right now. So Hyman's book, I think, is a great resource where he breaks it down in very simple terms for anybody to understand what you should be eating. You can watch more of my videos. I'm going to be bringing you more of this information as well. Hyman's take is that we should be subscribing mostly to a pagan diet in general. Not pagan, it's not a religious thing. Pagan. Pagan is like paleo and vegan smashed together, okay? So we're eating a mostly plant-based diet with some meat thrown in. Hyman himself recommends eating 4 to 6 ounces of meat per day. That's what he subscribes to, which means just all you really need is 1 serving of meat a day, and you can have a vegan day here and there. You know, I've done fine for many years going without much meat in my diet. I eat a lot of eggs and I throw some fish in there. Occasionally, once a week, I get some meat and that kind of stuff. You don't need a lot, but you do need some, okay? It's essential that you get some, otherwise you got to do some supplementation. Would you eat it? Beyond Meat burger? No. By now you should know we don't want that one in the diet. Is there one that you might want to try? This one right here is a vegan option, so there's a substitute for you. Hillary's Curry Burger. This is all organic ingredients in here. It's got probably some more grains than I would like to regularly consume, but all organic ingredients. It's got the good version of salt. It's not GMO. It's gluten-free. It's all that stuff. So this is a better option. None of the canola oil, none of that nasty stuff in there. So yeah, this one right here, Hillary's, that if you were on the vegan train and wanted a burger-like substance, that is a decent one. I tried it. It's actually pretty tasty. But other than that, guys, the vegan thing, you know, like I said, ethics, go for it. If it's for health, you know, let's re-examine that. And, you know, I'm going to tear apart What the Health at some point. That documentary really just gets under my skin a little bit. Okay, so that's it for today. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'll bring it to you. Talk to you later.